Hi there, Ray here with another video. So today we will talk about cheap PCs, mid-range PCs, and high-end PCs. First we will talk about them individually, what you can get and for how much you can get the setups, and after that we will compare the benefits of one over the other. So that this video is about setups that are cheap versus mid-range versus high-end. Without wasting more of your time, let's start. First we will take a look at the cheap PC and what can you get for a really good price, and in my opinion I would say you can get a processor that is a couple years old. With good onboard graphics, then we can get some cheap SSD or go with HDD, but I would suggest to go for 100 GB SSD and then buy as much HDD as you can so your PC boots really fast, and believe me, you want that fast booting. And 8 to 16 GB of DDR4 RAM. I wouldn't go DDR3 because it's just not fast enough, and DDR4 has gone down in price. I will say that we will not buy a graphics card, and before you get mad and leave the video, wait, because there is a good reason for this. And still you will probably get a graphics card, but the graphics card you can get is pretty useless, but we will get into more detail about that later in the video, so don't leave and make sure you watch till the end. But with this setup, what can you do? And there's a lot that you can do. First, you have storage, so you can manage a lot of files in there, and since you have a relatively new CPU it is really efficient, so if you browse the web or watch movies it really doesn't matter even if you have the high-end PC. When it comes to movies, browsing the web and little things that we do most of the time, and with that said it can even run old games, but honestly this is where we draw the line. It only runs some old games, and if you are someone who uses your PC for work and need to render videos or things like that, it can maybe somehow do that, but it is really slow. For real gaming and for real work it's just not worth it. But if you do that kind of professional work you probably have more than $200 to $350 budget. And keep in mind, I know you can do better with a $350 budget, but we are looking at pre-builds where you have no risks and you don't need specific knowledge. So for a pre-build this is what you can get on the cheap. Now let's move out from the cheap stuff and let's see what we have on the mid-range, and here we will talk about what you can get at around $350 to $900. So without wasting more of your time, let's see the stuff you will be able to buy and what will your PC be capable of. And there is a lot you can buy with $350 to $900, and to be honest it's more like $650 to $900 because you will not be able to get a good graphics card for less than $600, because we will need a graphics card for the mid-range PC, and the reason for that is that a lot of people will go for the mid-range PC and you want to be able to do everything in this PC, and with a relatively new gen processor and 16 GB of RAM you will be able to get a lot of performance, and since you have a capable graphics card this PC will be good for work and for gaming, and I would recommend you get SSD and nothing else. It's still better to go for less storage than to have a lot of storage and to have crappy storage. Of course, if you really need every gigabyte of storage you can squeeze them by all means by hard disk drive, but that won't get the job done, and with that said you will be able to do a lot with this PC. Like I said before, you will be able to play all the new games, you will be able to run all the programs you need for your work, and your day-to-day programs will run really smooth. So yeah, and of course if you want to play on a competitive level or you want to play at hundreds of FPS, then yeah, you will spend more money in the GPU, but a GTX 1660 Ti or GTX 1660 Super is still a relevant card when it comes to price to performance, and you can get a lot of performance with this card, and it will still be of that $800 to $900 price range. And with said, why don't we look at the high end, or the rich boy land as I like to call it, where the RTX 4090 is a necessity. If you have this card you have made it, and there are two ways to get this card. You either have a rich family or you probably have an extra kidney, and to be honest, us normal people, we don't really need both kidneys, do we? But that's beside the point. The price range of this PC is unlimited, and there is a good reason for that, because if you are spending over $1,500 you aren't looking for price to performance setup, and if you look for less than $1,500 the only thing you can spend more than in the $900 PC is to get it a little better with a better GPU and CPU or add some RAM, but that isn't going to make your system that much better. Now let's go back to the setup of the people with just one kidney. I mean the rich people. Yeah, that's what I mean. And before we go, first I would like to tell you that I myself am an owner of 2 kidneys. So that means I don't have a good PC. But let's see what we can get in 10 years when prices of these parts go down in price. So you will get the latest processor, you will get DDR5 RAM, you will get RTX 4090, you will get 128 GB of RAM even. Though you don't need to have that much RAM, but as the old rich people say, if you can have something why not just buy it? But what does this setup actually do? What benefits does this setup actually provide? And they provide a lot and not that much in the same time, and let me explain what I mean by saying that. When I say it doesn't provide benefits, what I mean is that it doesn't actually do more things than the mid-range PC. They both can run almost any program, they both can run all the games. But there is something about the high-end PC that no one can copy, and that is its performance. It is true that the mid-range PC and the high-end both can do everything, but the high-end PC does everything better, and I don't mean a little better, it does everything a lot better. I mean when we compare how they run games, the high-end PC sometimes does hundreds of FPS more than the mid-range PCs. And there are a few more advantages. I mean, you can game at 4K if you have a high-end gaming setup. But if you have a mid-range PC, that just is impossible. You won't be able to play at 4K, and whatever you do in the mid-range PC you can do it faster and better in the high-end PC. And that is the reason why people buy the high-end PCs. But let's be realistic, do you actually need the high-end PC? And the answer is simple. If you are a casual gamer, you don't actually need the high-end PC. But if you are a competitive player or you only work on PC and you do a lot of video editing and rendering, you will benefit a lot by having a high-end PC. And it's not that the mid-range PC cannot do those things, because it can. Like I said, the high-end can do those things better and faster, so if you do that kind of work you can benefit a lot. But for most of the people that is not a necessity, and that is what a high-end PC can do for the most part. And now, without wasting more time, let's compare them really quick. The cheap PC is good for everything beside gaming and rendering videos and things like that. And when we go to the mid-range PC here, we can see that gaming and rendering is no problem. You can do everything from watching YouTube to playing AAA games to everything in between. And when we take a look at the high-end PC, we can see that we can do everything but a lot better than what we could do with the mid-range PC. And that's about all of it about the comparison. Since they are all PCs, they are not a lot different, so not a lot to talk about when we talk about differences. But when we go to benefits, it might be a different story, so stay tuned for that. And when we look at the benefits, there are a lot of benefits for choosing one over the other, and without wasting more time, we will take a look at the cheap PC. And you might think, what can be the benefit of building a cheap PC over the mid or high-end PC? And there are some. First, you can do most of the things that you might want to do on PC. The only thing that you might want to do that you cannot is playing new games. But do you remember when I said that in this PC you will not get a graphics card? If you do remember, that means that you have been following the video from start until here, so thanks for that. But there are two benefits of doing that. First, the new gen processors have some really good onboard graphics. I will say research those, and you will be really happy with the result. I will not get into detail about onboard graphics because I don't want to waste more time and it is not relevant about this video, but I recommend that you do some researching if you decide to buy this kind of PC, and I recommend that you don't get a graphics card because the really cheap graphics card are really bad, and if you spend money on the graphics card you will not be able to buy a good processor, but if you buy a better processor you will be able to play some games. And now let's move to the second benefit, which is that over time, when you save up some money, you will be able to buy a new graphics card, and this is the reason why I recommend that if you buy a really cheap PC, don't get it with graphics card, because if you have a really old processor, then when you upgrade the processor, RAM and storage will be you bottleneck, and that is the best scenario. The worst scenario is your processor might not even be compatible with the graphics card you might want to upgrade. Plus, let's not forget that if you buy a cheap PC for gaming, it will not be good for gaming, and it will not even be good for just consuming content. And with that said, let's continue to the best category, the mid-range PC. And what to say about the mid-range PC? This, in my opinion, is the sweet spot when it comes to buying your PC. It has a lot of benefits over the cheap PC because it can do everything it does and more. And when I say more, I mean you can game in this PC, you can use other programs that are hard to run, you can do pretty much whatever you want. That's why I said it's the sweet spot. It can do everything someone might want to do on a PC, and it has one more benefit over the high-end one. It won't cost you a kidney. I don't think it is cheap, but it is 3 times cheaper than the high-end one depending on what you get. And now let's move to the high-end one. This is for the people who like to live at the edge. This is for people that cannot accept nothing less than the best. This is for people who were born in a rich family. This is for people who were born with a condition that allowed them to have 3 kidneys. It is honestly for people that have a lot of money and don't know where to leave their money. That's the only reason, and the benefits are as follows. You will have the best setup. If someone in the world can run a game or can do something in their PC, if it's not a supercomputer, you will be able to do it like them or better. Like I said, it has the best performance, but this is not the best when it comes to price to performance, because you are overpaying just to get the latest and greatest, and it will not provide any kind of advantage against the mid-range PC player if you are playing competitively. But if you have the money and you can afford it, then it is still the best. And if we don't include the price, it doesn't have anything that can hold it back against the other systems. But with that said, let's mention another thing. Let's not forget you can build your own PC and things here can get good, because let's be honest, just by building your own PC you will save up a lot of money, and let's not forget you can search up what parts are for sale, so you can mix and match what is the best system for you, and on the deals you can save a lot more. And believe me, if you are in a budget you can get a cheap PC that performs like a mid-range PC just by buying the parts yourself and building the PC. But for a lot of people that process is scary and they just want to pre-build, and that's why I made this video. But if you are looking to save sometimes even hundreds of dollars, that is totally an option. So what did we learn from this video? First, the only PC you will need if you are not a millionaire is the mid-range one. Second, if you are in a budget, don't get a cheap PC with bad graphics card. You will be better off not having one and just saving money in the meantime so you can upgrade it. And never forget that the best thing about the PC is that you can always get back to it and upgrade it later. And of course no one can compete with the high-end PC, but that costs a lot. And never forget that if you are in a budget and still want to get the best performance per buck, you can always build your own PC. You will never buy a pre-build that if you build it yourself would have been more expensive. And with that said, we are coming near the end of the video, so if you liked the video please press like, it helps a lot. And if you didn't like the video you can always dislike, but if you don't want to miss the next video don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget you can be the first subscriber, and if you have something you want to say please comment down below. Or if you want to see a video about anything tech related, comment down below, I might get into that. And with that said, I am Ray and I will see you in the next one.